I am T, and to my right, is it right, left, or wherever he is
I'm
B.
right here.
Thank y'all for joining us on this Easter Sunday. Happy Easter to everyone. Hopefully you
Yeah.
enjoyed your day, had time with family, maybe went to church today. Whatever the case may be, we appreciate you joining us this evening. Well, we're going to jump into the great wide world of sports this week, most of which is centered around the final seedings for the NBA and the NBA play-in tournament, NBA playoffs. We'll get into some MLB. We'll even talk a little bit of women's basketball, just a little, and then and
Damn, man. They gave us something to talk
I
about.
know, right? I love it. I mean, I'm not against it. I'm all for it. And shout out to a few new subscribers. We got Nicole Howell. Am I saying that right, B?
I
And
think you are. Yeah.
Lucky
If she's
13
watching, if
Enterprises.
Nicole's watching, some you idiot.
Wow, that was rude. I actually want to welcome you to the show, and I don't want you to turn us off because we called you a name, but it happens sometimes.
No, not we. I called
Yeah,
her a
wait,
name.
he
I'm,
did it.
I'll
Not
keep
me,
you out
he
of
did
that
it
one.
exactly. Don't
I
blame
called
me
her
for
the
that crap.
idiot.
And well, folks, it looks like I'm keeping my hoop. I don't think I don't know if I got any takers for it.
I'm gonna put it in the chat, everyone. We just need
You
someone's
know what?
favorite sports memory.
Just forget it. I'm keeping the goddamn thing. I'm tired. Wait.
We'll try. We'll try one more time. We'll try this week. If it doesn't work, then we're keeping
You
it.
don't like my hoop? Nobody likes
We're
my hoop.
taking it back.
That's messed up. Nobody wants my hoop. Whatever. All right. Well, let's get right into it. We'll start with the NBA. And before we get into the playoffs, we're going to talk about some interesting shenanigans that have been going on around the league lately. One of them being the slip sliding Dallas Mavericks. They have found their way all the way to the bottom and out of the playoffs as they've lost the last couple of games or a few games or whatever it is, and have been eliminated from playoff contention, which I think that happened earlier in the week. Um,
Yeah,
this is
man.
an interesting story because in the last game of the season, Dallas saw fit to sit all of their starters or most of their starters, except for Luca for like a quarter, which didn't make any sense. And now, because of that, they are being investigated for potentially trying to rig the system to give themselves a higher draft pick by not getting rid of knocking off some of these games. So here we are, a team that traded for Kyrie Irving is all of a sudden just
They're,
completely losing games
they're
on
watching.
purpose.
They're,
They're
they're watching
throwing
everyone in
games.
the playoffs now.
They're throwing.
Unreal.
They went from signing Kyrie or trading for Kyrie to throwing games in hopes of getting Victor Wembanyama. I don't know what to say about this. This is this is a really weird circumstance. What's Mark Cuban doing over there?
Who knows, man? And you know what's funny? Like it's surrounding Jason Kidd.
Yeah,
You
again.
know, it's
Yeah.
again. And for those who don't know, back in 2013, during a game where the Nets didn't have any
Oh
timeouts,
yes,
Jason Kidd literally had his own player bump into
that's
him
right.
while he was drinking water to stop the game to get a timeout. And the NBA investigated that as well. They just put themselves in a bad situation to begin with, man. The Mavericks went from being the fifth seed in the West in a comfortable spot to now, they're not even
Going to
participating
Cabo.
in the playing tournament. They're going to Cabo. They're going on a fishing trip. Kyrie Irving may get traded again. Who knows? But
I don't know, man.
I get it. There's a once in a generation talent coming out with in Victor Wembanyama, whatever how you pronounce his name. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
that doesn't mean he's gonna pan out. That doesn't mean he is a franchise changing player. We don't know this yet. You know what I'm saying? He's got the talent. Don't get me
man.
wrong. If you guys haven't watched him play, the dude literally put back his own 3-point shot. He took
Yeah,
two steps and got to the hoop
he's 7'4".
and just
He's
literally
huge.
dunked it. It's ridiculous with handles and can shoot a jump shot. But that doesn't mean you're guaranteed that pick, though. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
it just doesn't make sense on why they would want to do this. They still were a game out of the play-in tournament before they sat all of their players
Yep.
outside of Luca. Luca played one quarter and they pulled him out for the rest of the game. But the NBA caught on to that, man, because of that draft pick.
Yeah,
It
yeah. So
doesn't make any sense.
it doesn't make any sense. I forget what team Dallas has a pick swap with, but they have a pick swap with another team where they're trying to make sure that they have a worse record than them to gain a higher draft pick. So that's kind of what we're looking at, folks. But yeah, I mean, I think what's crazy about this is the fact that in less than half a season, you go from the high hopes of having another tier one player on your team and competing for a championship to throwing games for draft picks. I
Oh
don't
my
think I've
god.
ever seen a situation where a team has had that big of a shift in ideology in such a quick time. So a lot of questions are going to be swirling around this ball club. And if I'm Luca, and we talked about this last week, I think if I'm Luca, I'm wondering what in the world is happening. So, and
Yeah,
speaking of Luca, you know, what does that mean for him? I mean,
I think this
are they even
this
trying
offseason.
to build like what is the are the can what I guess I should say is can the Mavericks build a team around Luca in enough time to field a playoff team before this guy ultimately walks?
Well, I don't think Mark Cuban is going to be shy about spending money. I think that's going to be legit right there. Is I think it's just who he's going to be able to field. The team he had last year literally was a Western Conference Finals team that beat the Phoenix Suns in Game 7 in the semifinals. So it's not like they were missing a whole lot of pieces. I think one or two.
Yeah,
Kyrie Irving just wasn't the answer,
yeah.
you know. And now you lose Dinwiddie, who was really good addition for that team. Who else did they lose to Brooklyn?
Finney Smith Jr.
Finney Smith Jr. as well. And these are all guys who could have come off the bench for Dallas. Dallas had no bench once they got rid of these guys to get to Kyrie. And now look, they're struggling. And if I'm Luca needs to say something as far as speaking up to see what he can do to help bring talent to Dallas to help him out, because at some point he's not going to want to be there anymore. In my eyes, I think Luka is just too young to let championship opportunities to slide by him the way that they could possibly be, and they're just trending backwards. Like they went
Yeah,
forwards and then went completely backwards this season, the complete opposite of what they were supposed to do.
yeah. They're definitely trending down. That's for sure. And with other teams getting better after the trade deadline, they were the ones that were looked at as getting the highest prize behind the Suns, and they end up just doing
Yep.
a complete 180 and going in the wrong direction. I think a lot of it has to do with you got two ball handlers who need the ball in their hand, and you got a bunch of players around them that are used to playing off Luca, and maybe not so much with Kyrie. Kyrie can take over a game by himself, but that's just not enough to win multiple games throughout the regular season. You got to have a team. So that brings up another question of talking about Kyrie. I almost feel like the Mavs have to sign him at this point. I mean, what are they
You
gonna?
got to.
I mean, I don't think they have another option. What are they gonna do? They're gonna trade him again. They're gonna try to sign and trade him. I mean, I think they have to bring him back and figure out how to fill out the rest of that roster.
But they gave up too much to get him, and now you have to rebuild extra roster spots. At this point, it's not worth kind of letting go. You got to give this a shot here to see if it works. But
Yeah,
in my eyes, I just don't see it working for Dallas at all.
yeah. I mean, me neither, man. This and again, as I said earlier, this is one of the more weirder trades outside of the Lakers Russell Westbrook trade. This is another one of those where it kind of leaves you going, hmm. And on however, I will say on paper, Kyrie looked like a much better option, a much better player, and the idea of those two guys playing together definitely garnered some excitement. But it's not. It did not work out at all,
Did
and
not at all.
they need a point guard between those two or something. They need a Chris Paul type guy or heaven forbid Rajon Rondo type player to come back. They just need somebody to help figure out whose turn it is because they couldn't. Because I don't think that's going to work going forward. So good luck, Dallas. We'll maybe not. Maybe we'll see you next year. Good luck in this offseason. Hopefully, no giant trades come up and Luke ends up wearing a New York Knicks uniform or something. We'll see what happens. Uh,
Well, let's talk about the end of the season that took place here. And did you notice that the NBA decided to say everyone's going to play in the mid morning afternoon kick time
yeah,
slots?
yeah. It was like let's
Oh,
make
what the
room for the
world?
what the Masters maybe. I don't know what the thing was, but man, all the games were early. They were all during the day, and the entire thing was over by 4 o'clock. So
Exactly. And so we all knew the playoff matchups. But before we get into those playoff matchups, I mean, there must have been something in that water because teammates were looking to fight each other today of all days.
I mean,
Two teams that are fighting for spots here. Let's start with the obvious one where Rudy Gobert, with his 9-foot bird wings of arms, took took a punch over on Kyle Anderson and his big forehead. You know what I'm saying? Over an argument, I guess it was Kyle Anderson came after Rudy Gobert, told him he should have rebounded the ball. Gobert fired back saying should have made the shot, and then he said something about his mom, in a joking way.
what?
And then no, I was just making that part.
Like,
I really don't know.
Damn, B, you got the inside information. Were you on the bench?
But then, Rudy Gobert took one of the weakest. Dude, why do NBA players punch the weakest for, man? Like they don't know how to throw a punch.
Man, first off, this is the first time. This isn't the first time Rudy Gobert assaulted somebody. If you remember, back in Utah, he assaulted his entire locker room with COVID. So I mean, this is the first time he's done something stupid to harm his teammates.
That was a good one.
So the guy is not the most mature person to start. I thought it was a really bad look in a game where you're trying to make the playoff, or at least you're trying to get a better seeding. Now they did end up winning the game against the Pelicans long term, but Rudy Gobert, I mean, probably what he told him was, hey, man, I don't know why we traded for you because you ain't doing nothing. That's probably what he told him. They traded 5 first-round, was it 4 first-round draft picks, a second-round draft pick,
for this guy,
and some other stuff for a French baguette. And
literally,
and that's
France.
And that's it. Maybe he called him a baguette. Maybe that's what hit it off. I don't know. But
he called him a
baguette. Baguette. He's tried to punch him with his, like you said, his eagle arm. Okay.
But here's the worst part. So after this happens, obviously Rudy Gobert gets kicked out. Then they send him home for the rest of the game. Like, he didn't get a chance to stay in the locker room. Right. They sent him home. And then here's where things even get more weird for the Wolves. And this is probably going to help your team out because they play each other. Jaden McDaniels gets hurt and then punches the wall and then hurts his hand. It's like, dude, you guys realize this is not the time or place with the last game of the year. And you're playing against a team trying to keep I get it. You're playing for a playing tournament spot, but you need a high seed so you can at least host 1, potentially 2 games in that playing tournament. Not just it doesn't make sense, man.
Was there a Three Stooges marathon on before the game or something? Or I don't know, because that's what it sounds like to me.
When I heard all of that, all I could think was the Three Stooges song playing with that. Yeah.
Idiot. So you know how they do it, where the guy reaches out to punch him, he puts something hard in front of his face, hurts his hand, starts. I mean, we've all seen the Three Stooges. So apparently Minnesota was trying to reenact the Three Stooges with these 3 gentlemen, and I couldn't be more happier as a Laker fan. I'm glad they found dysfunction in the last game of the season.
So this would make you laugh even more. So as a Laker fan, the Clippers got into it today. Mason Plumlee and Bones Highland had to be separated in an altercation on the bench. And it's like, dude, you guys realize you lose, you're giving the Warriors the 5th seed.
Exactly.
you're still playing for something big, and yet there's all these problems taking place. And what they needed to do was take a page out of the Warriors book. All right, it happened during training camp. They got it over with. And they continued on. You don't fight each other at the end of the year. You fight each other at the beginning of the year.
In training camp, that's right.
In training camp.
Isn't that when everybody fights me? Isn't that when rather it be football or basketball? That's when all the fights happen. Between teammates, at least.
Because you're getting into the motion of things. You get the energy up. You get that competitive level. So you guys fight each other in training camp. So you don't fight each other during the regular season. But I guess the Clippers and Wolves decided to do it ass backwards. And so we're going to fight each other on the bench for everyone to see.
Hey, man.
At least At least the Warriors, it was a hidden camera that caught them. Otherwise,
Yeah,
we would have never
it was
seen it.
the janitor caught it. Janitor caught it on
The,
film.
the,
TMZ paid him like $100,000 for the tape, and he was like, "Cool, I don't need this job anyway." And bounced. Oh man, I'm not mad at him either, but I agree with you, B. Get that stuff sorted out in your training camp, not in the very last game of the season. I'm sure Kawhi Leonard had absolutely nothing to say about it because he doesn't talk. So, moving on.
talks. It was like he's like a mute, and then when he laughs, it's like, where's who's the old man dying in the room? Jesus.
Right, exactly.
We got a couple comments. Josh with a couple smiling faces here. Good to see you, Wu Tang. Hope you're doing well out in the islands. Then we got Birdie.
Mama
Bertha.
Birdie.
Happy Easter, boys. Hope you had a wonderful day with family.
We did. I did. Yes.
We did. Mom, I spent it with you today, so
it
was fun. Thank you for breakfast.
Well, I think I mentioned earlier, but I went out to church, had the family with me, and then we came back, ate dinner, did an Easter egg hunt, and I, robbed children of their candy, at least the candies I liked, and that was about it.
All right, well, let's get into it here. Let's get into the final seedings, and we're going to talk about the top six because these are the teams that are not involved in the plan. I'm going to read off the Eastern Conference team. You tell me what stands out to you the most. Obviously, the number one team overall in the playoffs and home court throughout, including the finals, will be the Milwaukee Bucks. The Celtics at the 2, the 76ers at the 3, Cavs 4, Knicks 5, and then rounding out the top 6 are the Nets. In that top 6, who's your team that stands out the most that hung in there?
Well, I'll give two. I'll start with the most surprising team, and that's got to be. There are a few surprises here, honestly. 4 through 6.
Who the hell is revving this little tiny ass engine?
Yeah, man.
God.
Watch out.
My bad.
Just make sure he doesn't drive into your house.
Nah, I hope he goes forward into the neighbor's car like an idiot. To be honest with you. Anyway.
So 4 through
go ahead.
4 through. No, that's okay. That's okay. I'm just glad you didn't grab your rifle. Anyway, so 4 through 6. 4 through 6 are a surprise to me. I mean, the Cavs, after getting Donovan Mitchell, I thought they would be a surprise team. Them getting up to the 4th spot, I think, is awesome. I didn't expect the Knicks to finish as high as 5th. I thought they would have been a little bit lower, but that's because Atlanta was just kind of not that great this year. And the Nets, who, for all intents and purposes, since the trade deadline, lost everybody. Mikal Bridges comes in there. You got Dinwiddie, and all of a sudden, this team is actually competing and made the playoffs. Believe it or not.
Right.
So kudos to them.
Doing it all without Ben Simmons.
Right, exactly. Who I almost forgot. Ben Simmons has as much utility as the towel boy at this point. I mean, he could hand somebody some Gatorade, but that's about it. I don't think Ben Simmons is gonna ever play. He's not gonna play any. They don't need him. What's he gonna do? He can't shoot.
Effects. This is effects. First of all, it says the Nets are the most surprising on the East, and I think we're all in agreement with that as well. They weren't projected. I saw them getting into the play-in tournament. I was not expecting them to maintain a top 6 spot here. So kudos to the Nets for really just kind of, playing with house money at that point there. So, and then real quick for those who watch our show, our little intro song that we have is all created by our man Ufex with the Pikachu logo. So we really appreciate you dropping in that song for us, brother. We really do.
Yes, sir.
And then the Western Conference. Let's look at the top 6 teams in the Western Conference, and I'll let you kind of see who stands out with that. You got the Nuggets, who basically were the 1 seed all year. The Grizzlies, who shot their way to the number 2 seed. The Kings at 3, Suns 4, Clippers 5, and the Warriors 6.
It's pretty obvious the surprise here, and that's the Kings, man. I don't think anybody coming into the season was like, yeah, the Kings, they're going to make the playoffs this year. I mean, unless you were a Kings fan. So you got to give kudos to what they've done over there. Really leaning into the offense, playing competitively, playing fast. They're not trying to do something they can't. They're leaning into their strengths, and they're running and gunning. And so good kudos to the Kings. So the Kings is my surprise team I did not pick them to. I would at the beginning of the season. I would not have picked them to be the third seed in the West.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that list pretty much kind of stayed true to what we thought.
Well, except for the Warriors,
honestly, except for the Warriors being at the 6th seed.
Yeah,
but then again, there was a lot that happened with that team. But I think the Kings to hold on to that 3 seed, and even with the Suns getting Kevin Durant and basically playing lights out every time he's on the court with the Suns, for them to kind of hold off the Suns to take that 3 seed was impressive. But the problem that's going to be for the Kings, and we'll dive into it a little more, that is there's no experience on that floor when it's going to come to playoff time. The only major experience they have is the guy coaching the team, and that's pretty much about it. But we'll talk about that a little more because, that'll lead us into our playing picks here. But I like these top 6 teams all around here. Everyone's going to get the rest that they need to get ready for a long group.
And I picked the Bucks to go to the finals when we first did our thing. So I picked the Bucks versus the Warriors. I don't know if the Warriors are going to make it. And one of the reasons I skipped over my own team, the Lakers, is because we still had the Russell Westbrook thing going on at the time. So I had no faith in that team. That team was trash. So speaking of, let's jump into let's talk about what are we jumping into first? We're going to talk about your team. Or no, are we going to...
Yeah, we'll get my team out of the way because your team's in the play-in, and we got a whole segment right after this for the play-in tournament.
Well, I'll start off, man. So the Warriors are playing the Sacramento Kings, and in all honesty, probably got the best pick of the litter as far as what team to play in the first round, just based on the experience.
I love it.
Just based on the experience or inexperience of the Sacramento Kings versus the championship experience that the Warriors have. We've all seen this story before. If the Warriors are healthy, they can make a run. I mean, we've seen this time and time again. And I just don't have a lot of faith that Sacramento plays enough defense to prevent the Warriors from going berserk at the front on the offensive end of the ball, man. So I'm going to shoot some. That's right. Yeah. Well, first we got to talk about the fact you went to the game on Friday.
I had to go because I thought it was going to be a pretty big game. I mean, it was for the Warriors, don't get me wrong. But I don't get why Sac sat their best players against a team that you were probably going to get in the first round, and you could have really avoided the Warriors in that matchup there. Because had the Kings beaten the Warriors are in the play-in tournament now.
Yeah.
Because they would have lost the tiebreaker against the Clippers and the Lakers because they decided to have a crappy road record.
Right.
They would have lost that and ended up in the play-in tournament, and the Kings would have never seen them. So now the Kings basically played with their food and got what they wanted. Dude, that stadium is pretty dope. It's in the heart of downtown. It kind of caves into the ground. But the problem with that stadium, and I said it out loud to a lot of Kings fans, y'all have more banners for players than you do championship banners. And by God's sakes, Paul McCartney has his own banner in there because he did the grand opening of the credit golden one, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
man. It's a nice little scene there, but I mean, why would you put a Paul McCartney banner up there? They kind of saved that. At least you guys kept your Sacramento Monarchs. The real Sacramento Queens championship banners up there. So congrats to you guys. But let me ask you this, T. If you were a Kings fan, and I know, with being a Laker fan, would you have rather seen your stars play in that game Friday night to potentially get rid of a team that is going to be the biggest threat to you in that first round?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. However, there was a lot more to play for the Warriors than there was for Sacramento. So I kind of have a feeling that even if they did put their starters in there, I just feel like the Warriors would have still found a way to win just because I don't think the Warriors really wanted to be in the play-in tournament.
No, I don't think so.
And start their playoffs playing against two teams, having to play an additional game against, the Memphis Grizzlies or the Los Angeles Lakers or, the Pelicans. And then after that, then you get the extra game you got to play. Then you got to go and play the Memphis Grizzlies or Nuggets or whoever it is. So, I think the Warriors were more motivated. So I agree. Yeah, Sac probably should have maybe tried to put a fork in Golden State, but they would have just ended up playing either the Clippers or the Lakers. I don't know if that's any better. I mean, the Clippers is probably a better matchup for him because PG's out, and Kawhi is, he's a great player, but he's not gonna. I don't think he's in the shape he was before in order to will a team to a final. So,
Yeah.
I if they could have drawn the Clippers, yeah, I think the Kings smoked the Clippers probably. But if they draw the Lakers or the Warriors, it's going to be a tough out regardless.
It is. Real quick, I forgot to get us caught up on the chat.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Bertha, my mom goes crybabies. I hope she's not talking about us.
Why,
Gotta
we
figure out
crying?
who she's talking about.
Who's
And
crying?
then
We crying?
Yeah, who's the crybaby? Pikachu says Warrior fans going to take over that Sac Arena. Dude, they took it over Friday night, and then you got that. Most of the bandwagon fans are going to pay that top dollar to get into that arena to watch games 1 and 2.
Yep.
By all means, yeah, we're taking over that there.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun, most definitely. I think I just want to see the offense. I want to see a series with 130 points each time for each team. Man. It's gonna be great.
The Warriors may be the only team that tries to play defense because of Draymond and Andrew Wiggins and Gary Payton II. But if those three weren't on the court, dude, it's going to be just nothing but a fast break, open three-pointer, first one to – I think he's going to be the first one to 140. Honestly, he's going to win that series.
Yeah.
Game,
probably.
Sacramento don't believe in no defense,
man. No, they don't. Now, we talking about defense, and one player that played a huge role in you guys getting to the championship of the finals and winning last year was the emergence of Andrew Wiggins. He is in the area, but is not actually played a game yet. He's been out for maybe 2 months or so at this point. Something.
I would say so. Yeah, I think so.
Is he actually going to play? And if he is going to play, can he still offer some help to this team after being gone from the game for so long?
I think Steve Kerr came out and said that he's going to be ready for the playoffs here.
Okay.
And especially now that they have this week off, now he can really get his legs underneath him as far as basketball goes. What he's going to offer, though, I think you'll see more of a defensive presence on that end, and that offense is going to take some time for him to get back, because now they got to incorporate him in there. The good thing about Wiggins, though, is that when it's crunch time or when they need to get a basket, that's where they missed him the most. Was he was that guy who can get to the hoop, who could back a guy down, get the mismatch that they needed here for an easy 2 to kind of stop the bleeding. The Warriors didn't have that opportunity, without him in that lineup. So now with him there, he'll work his offensive game in there, but I think they're really going to need him to hone in on that defensive end there, because the game is going to be quick. So that conditioning kind of needs to pick up.
Yeah.
Because there's no set offense between these two teams. It's an up and down kind of game here. So I think they're gonna have him focus on Fox, right there, because outside of Sabonis, Fox is their second best player.
And they're gonna have to limit his minutes, man. I don't see a situation where they take this guy and dump him in there for 37, 40 minutes in the very first game of the playoffs.
Nope, not at all here. So you'll see Gary Payton, and I think it'd be Payton, Thompson, and Wiggins that share the workload on DeAndre or on Fox, and then you're gonna have Draymond basically kind of hone in on Sabonis, which is, that's gonna be a fun matchup to watch between those two. That's gonna be pretty aggressive.
Most definitely.
I'm looking forward to that.
Here. Jesus Christ, stupid gnat keeps going around my face, driving me nuts.
So
Sorry.
I mean, my team's got a week out before we get into it, but your team is going to get things going. I think Tuesday or Wednesday.
Tuesday.
So, Tuesday it is.
That's
so the
right.
Lakers get the Timberwolves, and the Lakers will host this game because they do have the higher seed.
Yep.
So they will get a chance to host 1 to 2 play-in tournament games, and as a Laker fan, you're probably hoping for just one.
Hell yeah.
Let's start with the big one. Is this an easy win considering what the Timberwolves just showed us?
I mean, this is not. There's no
Lakers?
such thing as an easy win, especially in a circumstance where it's a one game elimination, because anything can happen. So the Lakers really have to come out and really be on their P's and Q's. They've had a bad habit of starting games a little slow, and they can't afford to do that against this Timberwolves team, who is still very talented. They have Mario Edwards. They got Big Cat. They got Eagle Wings. Eiffel Tower, whatever we want to call them. And you know, and they, so
Weak ass punch.
they have players that can make plays, and they have guys that can put
Yeah,
up points. So yeah, they have to take it seriously. They have to come in there as if it's a actual playoff game, which is what it is, and they have to try to dominate as much as they can. I think the Lakers definitely can beat the T Wolves, but again, in a one game elimination, if you take your foot off the gas even for a second, as we all know in the NBA, no lead is safe. So they're gonna have to go in there, stay focused the entire time, and get it done.
absolutely. And so with that, the biggest key for the Lakers to make sure that there is no hiccup against the Wolves here.
Yeah, it's gonna be limit turnovers, and it's going to be defense. Really, they have to be the same defensive team they were the second half, or at least after the trade line. They were one of the top defensive teams throughout the remainder of the year. So they have to maintain
Yeah,
that, and they have to not turn the ball over. If they play defense and don't turn the ball over, I'm not worried about offense. They can create points. That's not a problem. So they do
exactly.
those two things. They win the game. I think the Rui Hachimura guarding Big Cat was a big thing, was a big proponent of us winning the last game against the Timberwolves. So I think we'll see a lot more of that. For those who don't watch a lot of basketball, Big Cat spends a lot of time on the 3 point line. He likes to
He
kind of
does.
he like
It's
he
ridiculous.
yeah, he likes to come into that free throw range sometimes and then get himself by facing up and getting towards the rim. But he's not a guy that plays a lot with the back to his basket. And I think the Lakers going to a longer defender who can move his feet as opposed to, a smaller defender, AD or a center or something. I think that's going to work out well for them. So again, defense, don't turn the ball over. That's it. They win the game, no problem.
Right. And then, so obviously there is kind of the elephant in the room. AD is obviously he shows life of existence where it
Oh, that
matters the
was
most, and then
exists. Jeez.
there's the injury part. How big does AD need to be in order for the Lakers to get even outside of this game coming up, but going forward through this NBA playoffs here?
Yeah, well, he has to be the best player on our team. That's that's a straight answer there. He has to be the best player on our team throughout the playoffs. If he is, then we become a team that's a lot more difficult to beat. I don't. LeBron James has been playing well. His shot is finally starting to settle a little bit in the game today. He looked a lot better shooting the ball. As far as his stamina and all that, he's been working on that. I don't think he's up to where he was before he got hurt. So AD has been shouldering the load for this team for quite some time now. So I think it's all AD, man. He has to go in there and be aggressive. He has to take it to guys and be the Hall of Fame type player that he is. He could kill you from the outside with a jumper. He could get inside and get to the rim. He does a great job of drawing fouls once he's on the interior. So he has to be our main focal point on the defensive end. Team or the offensive end. Teams are going to be doubling him like crazy. So once that happens, the Lakers have to make sure they find a secondary play to do that. And they have a lot of playmakers on their team that can help. But we just have to make sure that we find creative ways to get AD the ball, and instead of just dropping him in the post and just throwing it to him.
And it's going to be a pretty intriguing matchup because you're going to have two big men, kind of who can live from the 3 point line. I know this wasn't a question, but who would you give the overall talent to between big man between the Cat and
Oh
AD
man, that's
as
not
far as
it's not even
I've just
close,
got to
man.
ask?
AD is. I know AD gets a lot of slack because of the availability thing, but talent
Yeah,
wise, he's a thousand times better than Carl Anthony Towns. And I'll give you just a couple of examples. One, the biggest one is the defensive end of the ball. Big Cat doesn't have a lot of lift. He's not a shot blocker. He's not very athletic. AD can actually change a game on the defensive end of the ball. He can block shots, and more importantly, he can change shots. When he's in the game, it makes it a lot harder for guys, to finish around the rim. It makes them uncomfortable. And sometimes as a shot blocker, just the fear of a guy blocking your shot
that
can
presence
do a lot.
is
Because
it can.
guys don't just go up for that regular layup. They start trying to do some Kyrie Irving type stuff, and they can't. And then they end up throwing the ball up at the bottom of the rim like Russell Westbrook does from time to time. And then It's basically a turnover at that point. So yeah, and
Yeah.
Big Cat doesn't have as big of an influence on the defensive end of the ball at all. And I haven't even got to the offensive part of it. Anthony Davis has a lot of versatility. He's a guy that could play on the roll, meaning he has good hands, can catch the ball and finish. He's a guy who can play pick and pop, where he can come off that screen, get to an open space and knock down an open 15-footer. Cat can knock down a 15-footer. Cat's pretty good rolling to the rim, but Cat cannot catch a lob and dunk. He at least not in that same fashion. And so I don't think they're. We talk about foot speed, quickness, all those things. Cat's kind of a lumbering dude. He's he's walking around with size 35s. He's kind of he looks like he's stuck in the mud a little bit when he's running. So, but he's a great player. So I'm not gonna take that away from him. But yeah, far and away, AD is better.
Well, speaking of players here, obviously there's always an X factor, and for the Lakers, it's actually not going to be James and AD that I'm looking for. As a Laker fan, T, outside of those two, who is going to be kind of the biggest X factor for the Lakers should those two struggle?
Well, lately it's been Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves has been the one guy that's stepped up fairly consistently and has shot a high clip from the field. He can do a lot with the ball, and after a full season of working with Phil Handy, his handles are way better than they were the previous, the previous year. So I'd have to say
Yeah.
Reeves can do a lot with the ball. He can play point guard at times. But it's really hard to say. The Lakers, the one cool thing about the Lakers after the trade deadline is that we have different players that can do more versus having nobody do anything except for LeBron James. So, Dennis Schroeder is a guy that brings so much defensive intensity to the game that it's hard not to play him.
Yeah.
Guys like Malik Beasley, who hasn't really shot the ball that well at all, is still a career 36% 3-point shooter and can get hot at any time. Troy Brown has been tremendous. A great guy who could he comes off the bench and can knock down threes confidently, and he's a guy that plays really good deep. So we have some versatility, and on any given night, one of those guys can step up and make some type of play. Whereas before, it was like, yeah, it's just LeBron and friends. So this team has actually won games without LeBron, which is a little bit different from the previous edition of this team. And I think any of those guys, any of our wings can step up at any moment and assist with making it, with giving us a lift.
All right. And with that, do I have to ask who you're taking?
Oh, it's easy, man. I'm taking the Lakers, of course, all day, baby.
Yeah.
The Lakers will
I'm
win and go on
I'm
to
going with
play. Who are they going to play again?
They would get the 2 seed.
Oh, the Grizzlies.
So they would get the Grizzlies in the first round
that'd be
if they win. So that'd be interesting. I'm going with the Lakers as well. I think the Timberwolves they picked the wrong day to just unravel as a team. So they're bringing this pain upon themselves. But in all honesty, here this is a back-to-back year for the Wolves to be in the play-in tournament. Last year they celebrated like they had won the NBA Finals.
Patrick Beverly
for the first time. Patrick Beverly seen crying boogers coming out of his nose. And now Patrick Beverly's back in the play-in tournament once again with another team. So I'll go with the Lakers on this one. I think that was kind of a no-brainer there. But let's talk about which is kind of odd because this other Western team was at one point the number 1 seed early this year and now find themselves playing in the play-in tournament. But that is the Pelicans and the Thunder, who the Pelicans will be without Zion Williams. They still
Go
have.
figure.
Can't make that one up. With that matchup there, this is in my mind. This may be the most intriguing matchup of the playing tournament. So when you see these two teams, T, who you got?
I got to go with the Pelicans, man. C.J. McCollum, Brandon Ingram. These guys are really good, and they've been playing a pretty high level of basketball. Although I don't know what happened against the Timberwolves today. They decided to they lost that one. So I like the Pelicans in this matchup. The Thunder are a really good young team. They're one of those teams where everybody thinks what's his name, SVG. Gilchrist, whatever. What's his name?
Yeah, we'll
Good
call him
Lord, I can't
SPG
even
because
think.
I'm not trying to pronounce that damn name.
So he's done a great. He's obviously their main player, but they got a lot of guys around them that you probably never heard of that can get out there and put up buckets. Um, you
But
know,
yeah, the,
so
I'm gonna go with I'm actually gonna go with that team. I am gonna go with the Thunder. It's kind of say they were a consistent 500 team, but they really weren't supposed to be in this position.
yeah,
This was supposed to be a lottery team. With Chet
yeah, that's
Holmgren
true.
getting hurt in a pickup game
That's right.
of
I
all
forgot
things
about Shed
to get hurt
Holmgren.
for.
I forgot about him.
But Gil or I can't pronounce this SPG. That dude can
SB.
find a
Yeah,
way to facilitate, but the what people don't talk about the most is the way he can just get 2 points
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And a lot of guys in the league at his age, you can't say that about a lot of guys, and even the veterans. He knows when to get to the hoop. He knows when his team needs a quick two, and he can do that. But I think with that young talent and really nothing to lose, and I think they're hosting, if I'm not mistaken. No,
I don't
actually,
think
no,
they're
they're on the road.
hosting. Let's
They're on the
see.
road.
Yeah, so they are. Yeah. I think Oklahoma City's playing in New Orleans, so they will be playing on the road.
But I just don't think New Orleans was expected to be in this tournament after being the number one seed. So
Right.
I'm gonna go with the Thunder on this one. I like that a young group with really no care for the world doesn't not matter for them at all. Just to be in this
That's true.
position and to get 2 games out of it potentially, I think this is going to be big for them. So I'll take the Pelicans in that one. And then let's move to the Eastern Conference. We'll start with the kind of the obvious picks for the two of us. The Hawks and the Heat
I mean,
are going to play in this first one here. Who do you got in this first playing tournament on
I'm
the
I'm
Eastern
going
side?
I'm going with the Heat. They've been up and down all year, but they still got Jimmy Butler over there. They've got Tyler Hero. I think Bam
Bam
Adebayo.
Adebayo.
They can get it done. They've got good coaching. They're really hard nosed team. They always have been. So I think the Heat get it done. The Hawks. The Hawks are very gimmicky. They have games where it's like, oh, this is a nice team, and then they have other games where it's like, what the heck are you guys doing?
I didn't even know the Hawks were in the playing tournament. I thought they were out of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they found their way back into it. They were not having a good season, but they found a way to pick it up.
I guess so, but yeah, that's a no-brainer. I just think the Heat are just a team that was in the finals 2 years ago, semifinals last year. I think this is no, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, if I remember
The
correctly.
Heat?
They lost to the Celtics, right? Who did the Celtics beat in the Western Conference or Eastern Conference Finals? I think it was the Heat.
You know what? You might be right. I have to go back and take a
Because
look.
it was the Celtics and Bucks in their Eastern Conference final or West or semifinals. But while you look that up, we got the Raptors and Bulls in the other Eastern playing tournament here. I'll kind of kick this off since you're looking that up for us. I'm going to go with the Raptors in this game here. I think.
Yeah, it was the Heat. Yeah, you're right.
Was it the Heat? So that team really didn't change. So I'll take the Heat. I'll stick with my pick on the Heat. But I'm gonna go with the Raptors in the other game against the Bulls. I think the Raptors still have that. They have a little bit of that championship DNA left over from them in 2019 with Siakam and Van Vliet. But the emergence of Scotty Barnes is pretty big here. So for him to get a taste of this postseason here, I think the Raptors have a little bit of an edge in there. Who you like in that matchup?
You know what? I'm going to go with the Bulls. I think the Bulls have been playing better than expected the tail end of the year. And I think they have a lot of great talent on that team that's more than capable of winning games. I mean, with Vucevic and DeRozan and Levine, Caruso's a nice
Patrick
plug and play.
Beverly.
Oh God, never mind. I take it back. Jesus. But I think they have a nice squad that can both play defense and put up some points. I honestly don't know why they've been so bad all season, to be honest. I mean, they lack some stuff. They lack some, defensive prowess. They don't have a lot of 3-point shooting on their team necessarily. But I think they've got enough talent to beat the Raptors. So I'm going to go with the Bulls.
All right, there you go, folks. That's our picks. We put a comment in there on who you guys would pick out of those 4 games. Again, there's no right or wrong because we have no idea. Hell, I took San Diego State to beat UConn, and UConn beat the brakes off of San
They
Diego
got
State.
flattened.
So
Yes, flattened.
they definitely got flattened like a pancake here. So
Yep.
I guess we'll wait to see Tuesday and Wednesday what the playing tournament will hold for us here.
Absolutely.
Or is it Tuesday and Thursday? I think it's Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah, I think it's Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday, Wednesday. I think for those first,
Okay.
for the first. Then the next set of games will be on Friday or Thursday, Friday.
Thursday and Friday,
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
All right. Well, hey, I know we weren't really thinking about talking about this one, but this brought up a pretty good debate here.
Yes.
All
The single ladies.
All the single ladies out there, the NCAA Women's Final Four was the most watched national championship game in women's basketball history. And kudos to Iowa and LSU for giving a great game. They had people who never talked about women's basketball actually intrigued with this. Sold out stadium, where American Airlines Arena, where the Dallas Mavericks play. But there was a lot of controversy towards the end of the game, and it's still talked about and it's still carrying on. For those who don't know, Angel Reese gave the John Cena "You Cannot See Me" motion to Caitlin Clark just as the game was ending, and basically followed her doing this.
Yeah, and I believe, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe Caitlin Clark did the same thing as well at some point.
And Caitlin Clark did do it in the Elite Eight game against Louisville.
Earlier in the tournament.
People are saying, well, she only did it for 2 seconds and she didn't do it to the player's face.
Yeah, but it's the same thing.
And it sparked a lot of controversy with Angel Reese here.
Yeah.
All I got to say is, where's the problem in all of this here?
Yeah,
Taj, as a competitive person, no matter if it's amateur, professional, or even on a pickup court, there's a level of competitiveness that's there.
Yeah.
And players tend to keep receipts as far as what happens here.
Yeah.
You have the best player on Iowa doing that in Caitlin Clark versus the best player for LSU, which is Angel Reese. So, there's that competition level. And Angel Reese was just letting them know, I'm that person.
Right.
I am that person here. So, after you read up on it, what were your thoughts on all of it there?
Well, first off, I don't see it as being an issue at all. I mean, look, they're in this tournament to compete and to win. Obviously, all the talk has been about Caitlin Clark this entire thing. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about her as a player. We obviously saw earlier, as you mentioned, the tournament where the same thing was done with the John Cena thing and all that. So, I mean, to me, this is just a little bit of taunting back and forward. This is what you do. I mean,
that's all it is.
Sometimes people have to motivate themselves in different ways. I mean, they talk about how crazy Michael Jordan was, taking out press clippings as a way to keep him motivated for a game because a player lightweight said something about how he wasn't that great, and then he would go out there and try to beat that guy into the ground and talk to him while he was doing it. The great Larry Bird was the exact same way, as well as many other players. Larry Bird was noted for going against players, telling them the move that he would do, and then still doing it to him. Talking mess to any and everybody that was on the court with him. And these are some of the greats.
Messed up, man.
So I mean, this is a part of the game. And I think, although sometimes within the college bubble, we kind of look at it and we see them as children. So we put this sort of extra, this extra layer to it, like, oh, they need to act a certain way or be a certain way. But these are adults. They're not kids. Yes, they're going to school, but they're not children. This is not an elementary school game. They're actually competing for something that matters to them. They're putting countless hours, time, and energy into playing the game, and they're two very good players. So there's nothing better than two very, very good players going at each other's neck. And I think that's what sports need, but more importantly, that's what the women's game needs in order to help drive viewership, because the same spotlight that's on the controversy is helpful in that if we get a chance to see these two players get better, play against each other in the national championship game, and then have them also play against each other in the WNBA, the WNBA ought to be looking at this and licking their chops, saying, hey, this is what we need. This is the Larry Bird, Magic Johnson type situation. For those who don't know,
of the women's game.
Larry and Magic played each other in the national title game prior to them playing against each other in NBA. It's a long-standing rivalry. So I think it's great for the game, and I don't see much of a controversy. There's no controversy. It's you thought you was the one. No, I'm the one. Like you said, we won the ship. So now I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. And so it's up to, as a competitor, it's up to you to stop that person from doing it. It's just like the NFL when guys celebrate in the end zone. You want to do something about it? Stop them from getting in there. That's it.
Exactly. And for me, a lot of the comments that were made during this entire week that Angel Reese was out of line, these are coming from people, dude, who have probably never been competitive in their life here. You know what I'm saying? There's a mutual. Yeah, exactly. There is a mutual respect for players off the court. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see that a lot in the NBA. You see that a lot in any sport. There's a mutual respect amongst each other because they're still part of this organization here. But when you step in between the lines, it's a different beast on the court because you're going against someone that's trying to take something away from you. In this example, it was a national championship that was on the line.
Right.
For a lot of these girls, outside of those two players with Reese and Caitlin Clark, and let's be honest, they're not going to the WNBA.
Yeah.
Outside of those two, they're not going to. This is their professional. This is about as high ranked as professional as they will get, and this is still an amateur sport. But for people to sit there and go, well, you know, it's not okay for Angel Reese to do the things he did on the court for 15 seconds. What was wrong with it?
Well, that's
you know
what I
I'm
don't
saying?
get is that Caitlin Clark did the same thing. She literally did this and then waved off another player also in the tournament that was going to shoot a three and just was like, nah, you whack. And just kept it moving. So I don't understand it.
He also told someone in Louisville saying, you're down by 15, shut up. Like, lip reading it.
Yeah.
So Caitlin Clark's not more innocent than Angel Reese is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It has to be put into context of what's going on here.
Yeah.
It was a tightly contested game. You know, it was a very good game to begin with, and at the end of the day, LSU got the opportunity. Angel Reese kept the receipt for what she did in the Elite Eight and gave her a taste of her own medicine. If I guarantee you, if Caitlin Clark doesn't do it, we're not talking about this here.
Yeah,
100%.
Right. Yeah, and that's what kind of pisses me off a little bit is now if the shoe's on the other foot and Caitlin Clark does that, are we still having this conversation? Because I mean, she did it earlier in the tournament. Why wasn't there more uproar about, hey, why is she doing that? Or she shouldn't be waving off a player. Oh, that's not good for the game, or blah blah blah. That nothing happened until it was Reese that said something, and that's where I think people need to kind of pause, take a breath, and think about what you're saying and why you're saying it. Because if you don't, what it comes across as you're not recognizing that one of these people is black and one of them is white. And you can't. So
we're not even bringing that.
No,
into that
we're not.
here.
But you have to. I'm just saying you have to stop and think whenever you make comments to make sure that you're being fair about what you're saying. And I think that's what happened. Just like you said, all the talking heads is they didn't take the time. They just no, it didn't look good and blah 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 blah. You know, for a while, Grayson Allen was drop kicking people in the nuts and pushing people to the ground during games. Does anybody remember that? The guy's
he was tripping people on the court.
Absolutely, multiple times. He's in the league now, and has been playing for quite some time. He's a vet now. Nobody cares.
He's a champion too.
Nobody cares.
He's a champion.
But I bet you people still remember Chris Paul hitting dude in Wake Forest though in the nuts. You know, so it's just we have to be careful and make sure that we're being fair, because if we don't, it almost makes it look like you're prejudiced. Whether you're trying to be or not, you have to make sure you're thinking about it overall and making sure you're thinking before you open your mouth and say stuff like that. And I hate to even talk about this, and I didn't even talk about this before the show, but there's also the story about Jill Biden. Did you see that? So
yeah, where they invited Iowa.
Jill
to the
Biden
White House.
was trying to invite both of the teams and not the winner, and that's another one of those circumstances where my Caucasian friends, we need to stop and we need to think before we talk. Because if we don't, we might say something that, even if you don't mean it to, is going to come off like, you're being a little prejudiced here. Because there's no way in the world that they are inviting both. Why on earth would you invite the loser and the winner? That's never, ever happened before.
No,
No.
I've never seen the loser go to the White House and receive a participation trophy.
Exactly.
I've never seen that before. So why now?
Why now?
Yeah, exactly.
And
It blows my mind that that even took place. Like, Jesus.
so
Like,
I'm just asking if all these talking heads, these people, even apparently even the president's wife, just stop. Think about it. Think about if you're being fair first before you open your mouth. And obviously, inviting both teams in, not just the winner, is not being fair because you've never done it before. And
yeah,
criticizing of two players, criticizing one for doing the exact same thing that the other did. You can't do that. You can't do that. And if you
no.
do it, everybody's going to wonder, well, why are you taking a different stance to this person than that person? And then they have no choice but to look at it and say, well, it kind of looks like one of them is black. You know what I mean? I don't have any other way to look at that. I wish I couldn't, but you leave me no choice whenever both people are doing the same thing, and we're trying to figure out why.
And Angel Reese has come out and even given Caitlin Clark credit for being the player that she is.
Yeah.
So there's that sportsmanship that you're looking for. You're not going to get it on the court. I'm sorry, dude. For me, when I'm watching sports, I want the best from both people. I don't want this handshaking.
Yeah.
I want none of that.
Yeah.
You're playing for something. Do the handshaking after the game. That's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
There's that sportsmanship after the game here. But you got to understand, that competitive level is always going to come out. Look at Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas.
Oh,
they were the best of friends until they met in the NBA Finals. And Magic Johnson damn near ripped Isaiah Thomas' head off coming down the
Tried to, yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. But off the court, that's one of his best friends he's ever gonna have.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So everyone just needs to chill the F out. If you've never been in a competitive situation before, stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Competitive nature, and that's all it is. The media took it and absolutely destroyed it and turned it into a race thing. Had the president doing something no other president would ever do, no other team has gotten to do before, and saying, hey, you lost the national championship because your best player was being messed with on the court. We're going to bring you guys into the White House as a thank you for being good sportsmanship. The hell with all that.
Yeah, well,
the hell with all that.
That's not possible because the girl did the same thing a few games earlier. So, again, what are we talking about? I don't get it. And it's almost like there's no reason to take sides. There's a winner and there's a loser. That's how sports works. Okay? You can be
unless it's soccer.
Yeah, right.
Unless it's soccer, then you're tying.
You could be a fan of the winner, you could be a fan of the loser, but you can't try to make the loser the winner. It doesn't work like that. If they lost, they lost. You can feel bad about it or however you want about it. That's just the end of it. Let's not create this. We can't create a world where all of a sudden everybody's going to, oh, well, just because they felt slighted or no, you lost. And
you lost, plain and simple.
And again, I'll say it again. Pause, think about the equality of the situation before you open your mouth. Because again, it
just made it ugly.
Yeah, all you did was make it look like you're very ignorant and you're not paying attention, and you don't want. Nobody wants to do that.
No, and here's what no one's talking about is the publicity that this game got that the WNBA has never even gotten.
Right.
When you look around a WNBA stadium, that second section closed off.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude, they had American Airlines filled to the rafters to watch this game.
Right.
The average price to sit in the upper deck was over $500 for that national title game.
Dang, yeah.
The WNBA wishes they could sell a ticket for $500 here.
Yeah.
So if you looked at it from a marketing standpoint, which every sports does, holy crap, do you capitalize on this here?
Right.
Because guess what? They get to play each other again in college. They got to go back and play each other.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at it from an NCAA standpoint, dude, you better make sure they play each other on a neutral site. Because I guarantee you sell out that neutral site because of everything that's happened.
Yeah, dude.
And you run with it.
Yeah.
And the WNBA has to start prepping for these two to come into the league, to find their way onto rival teams, because guess what? You're going to have people watching this and enjoying it. Who doesn't love a great rivalry when it comes to sports?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Absolutely, man, and you said it correctly, man. It's a missing opportunity, and I hope they pick up on it. Nike or whoever, what Under Armour, whatever one of these groups, get attached to these young women, give them some opportunity to be on television, or give them some opportunity to be in commercials. All that stuff, man. Just get them on Front Street. They should be doing in the WNBA. They should be doing everything they can to get these girls' faces in front of everybody. This is the future. Because that's what you need. You need exciting players to help uplift your brand in the game of basketball. You need names. If you don't have names, then you're nothing. Nobody's gonna. Everybody has this weird ideal. Oh yeah, team game, team concept. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But that's not what sells.
Uh-huh.
That's not what sells. What sells is big name players. People come out to see players. B just went to the Warriors, to the Kings Warriors game. Brings everybody there. Okay, it brings everybody there. When Steph Curry steps onto a court, everybody's there to see Steph Curry. You got some other great players there.
That lower bowl during warmups damn near was about full just to watch a guy warm up on the court.
Right. Yes.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Capitalize on it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to capitalize on that. So I'm hoping that's what they do. Y'all can't have Bronny James getting more views than you. Okay. I'm just saying.
You're right.
You can't have Bronny James or the McDonald's All American game shouldn't be beating out the WNBA. And so they really need to hitch their wagon onto these young ladies. They need to start getting ready to get them into the league and make sure that they promote the crap out of them, so that they can propel their game to the next level.
Absolutely. Before we move on to the last bit of our sports here, NorCal Sports Cars was good, fam. Hey, all good that you're a little late. Thanks for tuning into the program.
Thank you.
Easter was good. T's Easter was spot on. Hope your Easter was well, man. And by the way, I hope you're feeling better as well. I know you were a little under the weather. We were going to try to catch up in Sacramento, but I hope you're feeling well, man. And I hope you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
We weren't going to really talk about the NFL, but then OBJ decided to do something that caught both of our attention. But the breaking news with that is OBJ signs a 1-year deal with the Baltimore Ravens for, I think, like $18 million, to say the least there.
Okay.
I guess this is Baltimore's efforts to try to keep their quarterback. But he's coming off of the ACL injury.
Yeah, I mean...
didn't play for a whole year. You're about 5 years too late signing OBJ, Baltimore.
Oh man, it's like the first check we write is this instead of penciling in your quarterback. It's funny, man. I don't know.
I know you still need to sign a quarterback.
Who's throwing this guy the ball?
Not signed yet. Why are you signing him?
Yeah, who's throwing this guy the ball? Seriously.
I have no idea, man. But honestly, OBJ is. I don't think that big of a name to keep Lamar from testing out the free agent water here.
Yeah.
You just spent $18 million on one player for 1 year.
Yeah.
I'm not a mathematician, but that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
In my mind. And he's coming off of not playing for a whole year.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make sense on why they would do that. So, I just wanted to put it out there that you signed a wide receiver, but you don't have a guaranteed quarterback to throw to.
It's OBJ throwing the ball to OBJ. Touchdown. They ain't got that. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Oh man.
Hey, I know we've got a little bit of baseball here. We're just kind of go weird. Hey, have you ever seen a no hitter thrown before?
Yeah.
You ever see a no hitter get thrown by a team and still lost 7-5?
Wait, what? No, go ahead. Explain.
So, the Chattanooga Lookouts and I love this name, the Rocket City Trash Pandas.
Wait, whoa. Run that back again. The Rocket City
Trash Pandas.
Trash Pandas.
Basically, the
what
raccoons.
Is that? Oh my god.
Played in a minor league baseball game. The Chattanooga Lookouts had no hits, won 7-5. And this is how they scored 7 runs. 2 walks, a walk, a strikeout, a flyout, an error, a hit by a pitch. Jesus, who was throwing the ball?
I think they need to redefine no hitter at that point.
Another walk, a wild pitch, another hit batter, and then finally a K. They scored 7 runs by getting, and half of those runs came by getting beamed by a baseball. I'm not, dude.
Man.
Sports has got some of the weirdest things that happen, and this is by far one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, where a team scores 7 runs and gets no hit, and they still win the game. Like,
I don't know if that's really a no hitter. I mean, I feel like he spent most of the time hitting batters. I feel like we might be giving him a little bit too much credit. That's crazy.
Dude, it blows my mind. I'm like, seven runs and you got no hit and you still find a way to win the game.
Yeah,
like it's just weird.
God is even trying.
You know, baseball's got some really good talent up and coming here. The shortstop for the Pirates, O'Neal Cruz, and dude, this guy's got a cannon of an arm. He could throw across the diamond at like about 95, 98 miles an hour, and it may not sound fast, but it's a short
95
distance.
miles an hour is fast.
That's coming quick here. Dude, he fractured his leg today sliding into home plate, which he shouldn't have done. It was a pretty ugly scene. And then an argument and almost a fight broke out while this dude's laying on the ground with a fractured leg.
God.
What the hell is going on out here, man?
Somebody call a paramedic, please.
Please, I was just sitting here with a broken leg.
My leg.
And you guys just sitting here arguing on the field, running around, make sure I don't get trampled on.
Yeah, my leg's looking like a straight W, and y'all out here arguing. Yeah.
He said like a straight W.
And
then, looks like the Warriors are favored to win that, to win it. In any case, and then the Tampa Rays for the first time 9-0 to start the season. That's kind of impressive in baseball. Winning 2 games in the series is always nice. You know, maybe 3, but to win your first 3 series and go 9-0 in baseball, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I'm lightweight impressed with all of that there.
Yeah, man. I mean, and then outscoring your opponent by over 50 runs. I mean, that's
holy shit.
That doesn't mean you're just winning games. That means you're smacking people.
Breaks off of everyone.
You're smacking people for real.
You sure the hell are. And then my Giants. I don't even know where to start with this team, dude. I really don't.
Well, I mean,
before opening day, I think they played Wednesday or Thursday. They hit like 20 home runs this past week.
Yeah.
After a week of striking out 41 times, they decided to go out.
The week before.
They decided to go out and hit 20 plus home runs in a series, and then proceed on opening day to not score a damn run. And it's like, dude, what is going on with this team? But they finally won today against a team that they played in the World Series. It feels like years ago. It was about 9 years ago. So they finally got a win. The bullpen is just dog water, dude. Jesus, they had a 5-1 lead on Saturday, and then absolutely just said, "Hey, you know what? You guys take this lead back. You take it."
We didn't want it.
Dude, I don't get it. If you saw a player struggling to even get a strike or even just giving up runs, what would be the first thing you do?
Get his ass out of there.
Thank you. Thank you. Pull his ass out, man.
Keep throwing bounce passes, baby. Keep throwing bounce passes.
Keep throwing these bounce passes. Let's tie the game and end up fucking losing the lead. So, God. And then Farhan, as we talked about a few weeks ago, on how he basically needed to save his season, proceeds to go ass backwards once again. Signs a guy that they traded for. They traded last year to get a player. This dude, Darren Ruff, could barely hit a ball off the tee. And then they signed him to a minor league deal. For whatever reason the case may be, I'm not sure. This guy's 36 years old, and he's got a mediocre career in baseball. So what I'm trying to figure out is why Farhan.
Somebody's cousin?
Not the guy we're looking for.
Whose cousin is that?
And no idea, but on top of that, the Giants still have the same player that they traded for to get rid of Darren Ruff. so like the whole
what was the point?
Just came into full circle, and they were like, "Hey, you know what? We're going to bring back the guy that we traded for to have the guy still on our team, and we're going to pretend like nothing happened." That's like the Warriors getting rid of GP2 just to bring him back at the trade deadline.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's
guys,
exactly what they did.
Should have just the hell signed him.
Just signed him. You couldn't afford him. Now you can. What kind of weirdness is this?
Good God.
Oh my
But
goodness.
that I got that for baseball, man. Again, this is too early. We got 162 games, 2 weeks into baseball, and the Giants are still under 500. Go figure.
Oh well, you know it's gonna get better. B like you said, it's a lot of games, man. You got to at least get through the first quarter of the season before you start hanging your head too low. Um,
When you start signing players like that, I may be hanging from the
oh, you ain't
ceiling.
feeling rough, huh? Rough.
Yeah.
Um, well,
That's a good
dog, dog water. So yeah, well, guys, that's kind of all we got. We're gonna be heavily into the playoffs as they come up. We've got a game against between the Lakers and the Timberwolves on Tuesday, and then the Warriors get started on Saturday. I believe they've got the late game Saturday, I think, against Sacramento in Sacramento. So we got some fireworks about to start. So keep an eye out on us. Hit notifications. Make sure you subscribe. There's a chance we might drop in a couple of after game shows, just to kind of get folks on the end of telling the games and give them our thoughts on how the game went, who played well, and what's going on. And I tell you one thing: if the Lakers somehow find a way to lose on Tuesday, I am not going to be very happy. So I'm just gonna be not very nice at all. Not very happy at all. But I don't think that's gonna happen. Warriors first game against Sac. I think that's gonna be incredible. I'm looking forward to the fireworks. So folks, make sure you stay tuned. We will be tuned in to the playoffs as we continue through the NBA coverage of the playoffs. And we want all y'all to join in with us and all the excitement. Since both of us have a dog in the fight, maybe we'll even end up playing each other if all things go extremely well.
I think the only
things
way
would
we
have
see
to
each
go
other
is
in the conference
that's
finals.
that's what I mean by extremely well. Things would have to go extremely well for the Lakers in order for us to be playing
Bro,
each other.
I'm looking at tickets for the Sacramento game.
A G?
They want about a G.
About a G? Dang.
Good God, man.
Hey man.
This team is. I looked at the Warriors. Tickets for the first home game against the Kings. It's $200 to sit in the upper level. Oh my, that's a little more respectable.
Dang, I didn't think they would be that cheap at the Chase Center.
You would think that $900 to sit in the upper level was for the Chase Center, not for Golden One Bad Credit Union.
Oh man, here we go.
Yeah,
here we go with the mess talking. Yeah,
you Sacramento Queens. I told you, you guys played around with your food. You guys let us get you. You allowed us to beat you, but you also allowed us to get momentum on the road here. Yeah. So, well, get ready.
Hey, man, I'm hoping that the Lakers show up and turn Big Cat into a big snack because that's what we need. We need him to be push him out.
And then, in the words of Draymond, welcome to the Warriors Invitational. Until you guys beat them, this is still our tournament.
Yeah, so, that's true.
I can't wait, man.
That's true.
I'm pumped. I cannot wait.
I can't wait either, man. Well, folks, I think that does it for us. Check the chat. Yeah, we're up to date. Again, if you like what you're hearing, like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Again, we will be covering a lot of fun sports events. By the way, the Masters ended today. Some person won. I don't know who. Congrats to that individual.
Tiger Woods said, "I don't want to be a part of this no more. I quit. Yeah. I'm not going to win."
Yeah, we were talking about. Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like, you know what? I've been the greatest golfer alive. Now I'm going to raise the greatest golfer alive. Now he's got his son come behind him.
Is.
So I'm sure we'll see his son in another. When can guys go pro? 16, 17?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So
his son will go pro pretty damn soon.
Yeah. So his son will be pro in another 2 to 3 years, 3 or 4 years or whatever, and then Tiger won't even have to show up anymore. He'll just be out there like an old father eating chicken, watching his son play golf.
Hey, it got passed down because he did the same thing when he was in it. His dad passed it down to him. Yeah. So,
all right.
Let's see. All right, y'all.
All right, y'all. Take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your Easter, and have a good one. Until next time.
Have a good one, y'all.
Peace.
Excuse me.
It's okay. I think I stopped just in time.
I hope you did.
Might have caught the tail end of that, but the first the beginnings of the burp. But I think we got through most of it. What time do the Lakers play? 7:00. All right.
7. So if we want to do a show, it's got to be.
Yeah,
It may
maybe I
not
have
be
to be
till
hella late.
9:30,
Yeah.
but at least it'd be at 9:30 to 10. We won't go to.
Yeah, we won't go too long with it. We won't go too long with it.
No.
Um, Lakers. What do Lakers tickets go for? Probably like a bazillion trillion dollars.
It's the playing tournament, man. They're gonna charge an arm and a
Yeah,
leg.
it's a one for it's a one of one. Let's see. Utah Jazz. No, not the Utah Jazz. That game's over, folks. Yeah, just leave me alone to show me. $100. Top row, $100.
Well, it's
That's
not
not
bad.
bad at all. That's top row. Now, if I go to if I go to the twos,
Hey, did you stop the feed?
yeah. Oh,